Welcome to the Nailsin Ratings, and it's time to talk about Avengers Infinity War. Normally, when it comes to movies, I don't see it until sometimes 4 weeks later. That's because the movie-going experience is so bad, not because of the theaters, they do the best they can, because of the audience. They just won't give up their damn phones, and they won't shut up. However, due to the massive amount of attention to movies, especially like these Marvel superhero movies and all the excitement about it, it's virtually impossible, unless you completely, I would cut off all internet for the next 4 weeks to not get spoilers. And that includes like watching a video about something else entirely, like a Star Wars video, or, well, Star Wars kind of obvious that the two would be compared, but or anything, and it comes up, even the political videos and whatnot, and someone will make a mention of something from the movie, and there you go. This goes back to Game of Thrones, where I was reading a Star Trek article, and then all of it, I hadn't seen the episode with the Red Wedding. I didn't know about it. I hadn't read the books or anything, so. And the article's going along. I forget what it was about, but all of a sudden they made a comparison. How or why, again, I don't remember. But it went on about the Red Wedding and what happened to Robb Stark and all that. And I'm like, holy crap! And there you are. So you just never know. And it came to that point. Plus, if I want to keep doing the videos like this and commentary, which I do a lot on the superhero TV shows, most notably The Flash and stuff like that, gonna have to go see it. So, of course, I went in the middle of the week, early in the morning, and it wasn't that big of a crowd. And they were good and polite. Everybody had their conversations during the previews and that sort of thing, and, who cares? And it was fine, and everyone turned their phones off and all that, and that was great. And this is, I guess the woman was sick or something, but she started coughing, and I think this is like an hour and a half of the rest of the movie, and she couldn't stop. So yeah, I was a little taken out, but that said, otherwise, wasn't as bad. I will see it again. But needless to say, I'll go ahead and say the rating will be 5 out of 5 stars. This was a fun, good movie. Sad, but good, and very solid. Nothing's perfect. Well, some things are. Dark Knight. But this one, very good, and should send the memo, and at least advertising-wise, supposedly Lucasfilm got the memo that this is how it's done. Iron Man grabbing this lightsaber. Hey, let's make that a reality in the sense of the leadership of the future Star Wars films. Boy, are you in trouble. But meanwhile, the Marvel superheroes continue to reign supreme over the movie universe in its entirety. A lot of Hollywood people complain about this damn superhero craze. It's got to die out sometime. And but it's basically the westerns of its day. The westerns dominated for decades Hollywood. It was always cowboys, and then science fiction kind of took over, and most notably because of Star Wars again. And that pretty much dominated for a good while. Then, and then adventure movies in total, here and there, not necessarily science fiction, but pretty fantastic stories and whatnot. And then the superheroes. There was superheroes here and there, but never quite like it is now, where the Marvel made the biggest attempt of actually mirroring what their comic book universe is like, where they're all interrelated and that sort of thing. And now, of course, everyone's been trying to repeat that and not doing very good at it. Most notably, you would think DC could have done it, but so far, no. And then, but what was it, Universal and their monsters, which, as just a horror franchise, they could have tried that, but no, they wanted to turn them into superheroes, and nobody wants that. The horror franchise, I guess, would be the Conjuring series that managed to make a fairly decent franchise amongst itself. But so far, not so much of an expanded universe type story or franchise for other studios. So yes, Marvel reigns supreme. So let's get into the story. I did not read, even though I'm a comic book nut, I haven't read everything. I have known about Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, what was the other one? Infinity Crusade, I believe, and Thanos and that whole thing. And of course, weaving Thanos in with the stories from the beginning with the Avengers. Now, you've been expecting this payoff, and they did it. There's a lot of things in popular entertainment, whether it's movies or television, where there's teases and there's hints, and sometimes it ends up just being an Easter egg here and there, and that sort of thing. And even when there is a payoff, it just doesn't pay off. And here, it happened. So every Avengers movie, the heroes won, and yes, there will be spoilers. They lose, and they lose big. And it's handled very well. And it leaves a bit of a cliffhanger there, of course, but you kind of had to have known that going in, because there was always talk about this movie really being part one of two. Eventually it was going to be, I think they were literally calling it Infinity War 1, Infinity War 2, but I believe the title will be Endgame for the next one. And which makes sense, because that's it. The contracts run out, and your main stars will probably be leaving, and we'll move on with the newer ones, most of which have already been introduced. Captain Marvel is coming, and we'll see how that works. I don't know, but hey, Marvel has made gold quite a few times. There have been problems. You're not supposed to speak ill of Marvel movies, but there are problems. Right off the bat, I did not like Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was a terrible movie. The only good shining spot in it was Michael Keaton, his performance, which is sad because it's just wasted. This is the third appearance for Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I had no problems with him in Civil War when his introduction there, but it wasn't enough really to make a judgment there. But it was interesting, and the sort of father-son relationship developing between him and Tony Stark was fun and all that. Plus, it fit in to kind of more or less to the Civil War scenario from the comic books. And then his own movie came out, and that's not Peter Parker at all. And boy, it was just such a letdown. And after all the crap of the Sony movies going bad since Spider-Man 3, and just can't get a good Spider-Man movie. So I don't really have much hope for the future of Spider-Man. Fortunately, he's dead, because he died in this movie. Well, no, I imagine he'll be back in the new movie when they they will undo what Thanos did, but obviously with warping universes and time and whatnot that they'll have to undertake in order to do this, will probably result in the loss of your original main stars of Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. So they'll move on with new ones. So all the ones who faded away to dust, they'll be back. So, well, maybe not all of them, but for the most part. Definitely Black Panther will be back. They're going to want a Black Panther too, but supposedly he's dead now. he died. He's gone. So that's it. No. As for what will happen, what happened there? How did they lose? Well, the clue is in there, I think. This is my theory. You have to pay attention to Doctor Strange in this movie. They get together and they realize they got to go take down Thanos and all that. And Doctor Strange tells Tony Stark and Peter Parker, look, when it comes to what your lives or protecting the stone, which the time stone was in his Eye of Agamotto, he says, I'm protecting the stone and you guys are forfeit. And so when it came down to the wire, he ends up offering the stone in exchange for Tony Stark's life, and so Thanos gets the time, and that's what pretty much secures Thanos' victory, because when he goes to get the final Soul Stone from the Vision, Scarlet Witch destroys it before he can get to it. As hard as that was for her to do, because she's, of course, in a relationship with the Vision. And I'll touch on that in a bit. But first, here, so he does that. But then, of course, he has the Time Stone, and so he just reverses time and and gets the stone anyway. So Doctor Strange seems, boy, you really screwed up just to save Tony Stark because Thanos was killing him. But here he said he wouldn't do it. And then before Doctor Strange fades away, because he dies because the whole plot for Thanos is that he wants to kill half the universe. So half of the population of the universe is now dead. Lots of people on Earth, including Nick Fury, if you stayed for the credits, and Agent, not Coulson, Colby Smolder's character, Maria Hill. They're dead. They're gone. But he managed to get off a signal to Captain Marvel, so we'll see how that goes. But nevertheless, they're all gone, and half is left. So there you go. So Doctor Strange, what the hell, you know? Well, before that happened, there was, of course, if you recall, the scene where Doctor Strange seems to be meditating, and he's kind of at super speed convulsing or whatever, and they're all like, hey, what the hell's going on? And then he explains to them, well, I was viewing all of the alternate timeline scenarios of how this battle is going to go. And he said something about 14 million of them or such number, a huge amount of number that he went through. And then Tony, well, how many did we win? We won one. One scenario is all they had. And then the battle goes forth, and how does it end up? It ends up with Doctor Strange giving him the stone. So Doctor Strange clearly must have done some kind of spell whammy-jammy on the time stone, and something is not quite right. So, and as he's dying, again, he tells Tony this was the only way. And that's what he's trying to tell him, I believe. And plus, when he was being captured by, I forget the name, one of the Black Order guys that tortured Doctor Strange, he had placed a spell over the Eye of Agamotto, and the guy couldn't get it. He couldn't grasp the eye, and so he says, well, I'll kill you. And he says, well, killing the spellcaster is not going to do much about ending the spell, or something along those lines. So even with Doctor Strange being dead, the spell holds. So what did he do? Well, tune in next time to find out. Same Avengers time, same Avengers channel. And that's my theory. What exactly he did, I don't know. But I think that's kind of what's playing out, that Doctor Strange is the one to watch here in this film to see how the solution goes. Now, apparently in the story, Nebula eventually defeats Thanos, and she may very well do that, killing him in this movie, in the new movie and what have you. But ultimately undoing what he has done to the universe. I think that has a lot to do with Doctor Strange. So by then, will the rights be concluded between Fox and Disney to where the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer and Galactus and Doctor Doom can show up, and maybe the X-Men? I doubt it. Maybe some Easter eggs or what have you, but other than that, no. I really was not expecting that. There could have been a deal where they worked it out, where they could have had an appearance here and there or something along those lines. Hell, maybe they did. I just didn't see it. Again, I'm going to have to see it again. But beyond that, no. The one cameo that I was looking forward to, that I hoped was in it, and that was, of course, the Red Skull. As to what happened to him after Captain America when he's messing with the Tesseract, they call it the Cosmic Cube in the comic books. And, of course, one of the stones was in it. And he gets zapped off into some other dimension or what have you before Captain America and crashes the plane and freezes for decades. And so here he is. He's been trapped. He's kind of like a wraith of a man. And he's burdened with the knowledge of everything, but he can't get any power or at all or what have you. So he basically just tells Thanos what he's got to do. And, of course, he has to kill Gamora in order to get the stone. And the only way for that to work was that it had to actually be a sacrifice. And it turns out, yes, Thanos did indeed love Gamora, even though he's a horrible father and a complete monster. But he did, and he didn't want to sacrifice her, but he wanted the power more than ever because he believes it's the great thing that he's on this, or in this universe, to do. So, yeah, she's dead. She didn't fade away, so is she dead for good? Oh, Loki, of course, I expected to die too. He does. He may be one that is dead for good. Because, again, Thor, I believe, is coming to an end as far as the movies go. I do believe Hemsworth said, hey, I'd be up for it, which means, you gotta write a bigger check, but Marvel might want to go for newer stars that are cheaper, and there's other characters to pursue. So this might be the end of Thor as well, so what's the point of having Loki around? So, yeah, sad death there, and this is one of the confusing and complicated relationship between the brothers, but still there's love there, and so Thor mourns Loki, and Loki was trying to kill Thanos to save Thor, and all that sort of thing. So there's always that, the back and forth between the two, and so that's all fine and dandy, but so I pretty much got what I more or less wanted. Spider-Man's performance here, again, I come back to that, was adequate, but there's just certain aspects I'm not sure that Tom Holland was the best for this. This is the third time seeing him. The first time I just didn't mind him. I didn't have much of an opinion one way or the other. I thought it worked out. The movie, I hated the Homeland movie. Here, and he fits in with some of the comedy that they put in there, and sometimes that's over the top to the point of distraction, and that's one of the weak points of the movie is here. And it happens. Fortunately, they don't dwell on it too long, but it's there. And the same thing with Guardians, which I'm not a big fan of. I did like the second movie more than the first one, but now the raccoon does really good here. He's a really good character in here. For the first time since in Ragnarok, in this one, I sort of liked Mark Ruffalo's performance. I wasn't a big. I don't like the guy, but. He hasn't done a spectacular job as Banner, but for the purposes of the plot and the movies of these movies, he worked out. The only problem is I did not like at all that he couldn't turn into the Hulk. I don't know what that's about. I guess maybe they're suggesting because Thanos beat the crap out of the Hulk in the early part of the movie that the Hulk is so butthurt and sad and scared he won't come out. Whatever. But that was a bit disappointing. So when you see the Hulk running in the army with Black Panther and Captain America and all that in the trailer, they fooled you. No, he's in Iron Man's suit. He's not the Hulk in the movie. Only for a brief time fighting Thanos at the opening, and then that's it. So, yeah, that's a downer, but still. Oh, yeah, and another problem I had with the Hulk story was the sudden, out-of-the-blue romance between the Dr. Banner and Black Widow. There's nothing really laid down there. There's a first encounter between the two because she's sent to find Banner to bring him for the first Avengers and all that, and there's kind of this scene between them where she's terrified of him and all that sort of thing. But that's not enough to say that, oh, this is a budding romance between the two. It was just sort of slapped on for plot purposes, and that was pretty lazy. Here we have the relationship in full force between Scarlet Witch and the Vision, which of course is true to the comics between them. They got married and all that. But you can see the caring between the two over the movies as they appeared. Again, it is a bit rushed, but not quite to the extent that it was for the Hulk and Black Widow. So, again, the overall theme of the movie is sacrifice. Everybody's sacrificing, talking about sacrifice and what they'll do for the ultimate goal. And, of course, Thanos himself is sacrificing for the ultimate power, although no one will shed tears for him. They'll shed them for Gamora and poor Star-Lord, who ends up screwing up because of it. But yeah. Overall, a solid film, and a film in which the heroes lose, and they handle it, and the heroes feel it, and they're not all kind of cracking jokes and smiling at the end like a certain movie did in the Millennium Falcon after having their asses handed to them. But anyway, Here you see a solid film that wraps up, well, it doesn't wrap it up, but it brings the payoff of the ultimate battle between Thanos, who's been manipulating the Avengers all along. So here we have the Avengers Infinity War, the best of the Avengers film, and the second best being Civil War, which was supposed to be a Captain America movie, but ended up being an Avengers film, which was better than the other two Avengers films, which the first one, it's okay. It's got some good stuff. I'll call it a solid film in that respect, that it's fine. It's adequate. There's some flaws there. Age of Ultron, of course, was just really bad. I didn't know. So Marvel is not always gold, but they got out in front and they provided so much good that people give them a pass when they kind of screw up. And even on Homeland, they gave them a pass on that one. I don't know why, but they did. So there you go. Avengers Infinity War. Go see it if you haven't. you probably should have seen it, because I just gave away all kinds of crap. So there you go. 5 out of 5 stars for Avengers Infinity War. And boy, can't wait for the next one to see how it all pans out. But I'm pretty sure Doctor Strange was the one to watch. So there you go. Again, Avengers Infinity War. Great film. A lot of fun. And there you go. All right. Thanks for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. And check out in the link description below for my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you.